Bleeding purple and gold. From the heart of Los Angeles, this is the LakersNation.com podcast with your host, Trevor Lane.
Welcome to today's show. As always, we are powered by CLNS Media and LakersNation.com. Today's show is brought to you by Pro Flowers. Go to proflowers.com, use the code LAKERS at checkout, and you get 20% off all bouquets of $29 or more. That is LAKERS at checkout, proflowers.com. Give that one a look. So for today's show, we've got plenty to talk about, a lot of exciting things going on. Don't forget, guys, go over to iTunes, rate, review, and subscribe to this show. If you have any questions that you want us to discuss on air, just leave it in your review. 5-star review. Leave your questions in the review section, and we'll address them on air. I check out our iTunes ratings pretty much every day. So if you leave a question there, we'll make sure we get to it. So the Lakers season is about 25% of the way done already, which is amazing. It seems like it's flown by. And we're going to hand out some awards. We also have some pretty crazy things that just happened tonight with the Lakers versus the Golden State Warriors. So of course we're going to talk about that. I've got Hannah Kulik from Lakers Nation on with me. Hannah, thanks so much for joining. We've got a ton to talk about here, huh?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. A new career high for Mr. Brandon Ingram tonight, 32 points. It was an exciting game.
Oh my gosh, Hannah, we were talking about this before we even did this show. I said, gosh, we can probably record this during the fourth quarter of the game because the game might be over at that point. I mean, no Kyle Kuzma, and you had Kevin Durant coming back, Stephen Curry coming back. It seemed like everything was working against the Lakers. The Warriors even lost in their last game to the Sacramento Kings, so you knew they were going to come out focused and fired up. I thought for sure the Warriors were going to come out and just blow out the Lakers, and it was going to be a frustrating one. But even though the Lakers lost, it doesn't really feel like much of a loss, does it?
No, it was definitely a very exciting game. I mean, like you said earlier, I thought it was going to be a complete blowout, especially when I found out that Kuzma wasn't going to be able to play. But, guys like obviously Brandon Ingram stepped up and had a really great night tonight. Like I said earlier, a career high for him. Lonzo played very well. Jordan Clarkson played great. So it was a nice collective effort by everyone tonight.
Yeah, as you mentioned, 32 points for Brandon Ingram, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 2 of 2 from 3, 12 of 21 shooting overall, 6 of 7 at the line. What a performance. People were questioning Brandon Ingram quite a bit last season. He didn't get off to the best start as a rookie, kind of picked things up a little bit towards the end. But my goodness, I mean, if there was ever a game that you wanted to show somebody Brandon Ingram's potential in, if you just want to say, look, this is what this kid can be, this was that game. I mean, Brandon Ingram was the man for the Lakers in this game. What an impressive performance from him. And I couldn't believe at the very end there that he actually stole the ball from Kevin Durant. And it looked like I thought the Lakers were going to come real close to tying up the game there. Didn't end up happening, but I mean, he was just phenomenal. Anybody else stand out for you in this one?
Yeah, I mean, going back to that last play, I almost had a heart attack, honestly. I thought I was just about to die. But, I thought Lonzo played very well tonight as well. As we've always been saying, his shot has just not been falling so far this season. He was really great tonight. I think he had like 15 points, and he made a few from 3. So he was really nice tonight. So I was happy to see his shot go in because, he always is able to get the assists and the rebounds. But his shot's something that he really needs to improve on. So whenever he has a game where it's going in, I'm always happy to see that.
Yeah, on our last show, we had David Nurse, who's an NBA shooting coach who has worked with Lonzo, worked with him at UCLA, and he talked all about how Lonzo's shot, a lot of it comes down to confidence and how confident he is in his shot. And in the past few games, we've kind of seen, just body language-wise, he hasn't looked confident. Tonight he did. He did look confident with his shot, and so he shot 5 of 12, which, I mean, isn't great shooting or anything, but we'll take that. 3 of 7 from 3 compared to what we were seeing before. Those are great numbers. 10 assists. He only had 2 rebounds, which is low for him. But you know what? I agree. I thought that he had a real nice performance. I thought Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had some moments where he was excellent. He had some other ones where he made some poor decisions. Julius Randle was great, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. This was his birthday game. So I thought really the whole team stepped it up in key moments. Jordan Clarkson had a hell of a game also. And, man, the one thought that keeps coming through my head right now, Hannah, is if these guys play at this level, which I know it's hard to sustain this intensity. I mean, you get up for a team like the Golden State Warriors, but if they can play at this level or at least near this level, they're going to win some games here, right? I mean, they're going to end up surprising some teams and maybe winning more games than we think if they can continue at this rate and build off of this game.
Exactly. You know, the Lakers have really been exceeding expectations so far. Their record doesn't really show as much as they could have won many or at least a few more games than they have. But, you know, when you see them play as hard as they play tonight, you just kind of think, wow, this team could be something special. If they're able to be more consistent and do it on a more nightly basis, I mean, they're able to compete with the best of the best. And I think this December is going to be a really nice test for them to see because, you know, they have a really hard schedule coming up. So it's going to be a nice little test to see how they're going to be able to be consistent and really compete on a night every night.
I'll tell you what I really loved seeing in this game was Luke Walton going to that rotation. I talked about it a little bit on Twitter. He went to a rotation that was Lonzo Ball. This was his five-man group out there. It was Lonzo Ball, Jordan Clarkson. He had Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Brandon Ingram, and Julius Randle. And at first glance, it sounds like a small group, and it is. It's small ball. But statistically speaking, the Lakers have done really, really well with Randle at center. They've been at their best with Randle at center, and they haven't played that many minutes with the starters and Randle at center. It's mostly been the starters and Brook Lopez. But the advanced stats all said that was their best group. And this was about as close as you could get to that group. He mixed and matched a little bit by using Clarkson in there and everything, but it was like suddenly just light bulb went off. The offense looked good. The ball was moving. Every player that was out there could make plays for other guys. It wasn't stagnant. And defensively, they were switching all over the place. Randle was a presence at the rim. I mean, I hope that they keep going back to this lineup because I liked it a lot. I'm a big fan of it. I think there's a lot of potential with that grouping. Did that stand out to you too?
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I think part of the reason that we're able to play Julius Randle at that center just because I've been really disappointed with Brook Lopez so far. I mean, I know he's had some games where he's looked really good, but for the most part, he's been kind of a disappointment for me so far this season, and obviously Andrew Bogut as well. So I think Julius right now is definitely our best bet at the center. He's averaging, I think, career highs in all stats, so he's playing really well. So I think as of right now, definitely Randle at the center over Brook Lopez and Andrew Bogut, I think, is our best bet.
Yeah, I mean, Randle struggled with Embiid, which, I mean, was kind of to be expected. He struggles against some of the big, behemoth centers that are out there. And so I think you kind of have to find out here, can Julius Randle be a starting center? Or will starting against guys like, say, DeMarcus Cousins, Joel Embiid, DeAndre Jordan, all these guys who are just big physical athletes that just have a size advantage over him, is he going to be able to hold his own in those matchups or not? Because I think that heading into next summer, you need to know that. Can you make Julius Randle a starting center? Because right now, the whole Julius Randle at center experiment is working. It's working really well. And so with that being the case, he's kind of filling in that Draymond role. Can you use him as a starter at center, or do you need another big in there like the Warriors do, where they have Pachulia starts the game, Draymond starts at the 4, and then Draymond slides over to that 5 spot? Could you maybe hang on to Randle and use him like that? Do you need that other big body, or can he just start at the center spot? We'll have to see, but yeah, some good things from Julius Randle, and I'm hoping that moving forward, they're going to continue using that rotation. Now, we do have a lot to get into today. We are a quarter of the way through the season. The game against the Golden State Warriors has got me excited about this team. I mean, it was a nice pick-me-up, even though they didn't get the W. It would have been great if Ingram had hit that shot at the end of regulation. But we do need to get into some first quarter awards, because here we are, 25% of the way done with the season, and we need to talk about who has really stood out for the Lakers. So Hannah, I sent you a list earlier today of all the different awards that we were going to go over. We've each come up with our own awards, so we're going to dig into them. But first, let's pause for just 1 second, and we're going to talk about Pro Flowers. So fall has come. We're almost hitting winter, and it's a great time to send someone flowers. I actually just used Pro Flowers and sent some to my wife at work, and she absolutely loved them. I got a great text from her right away thanking me so much for sending her the flowers. I love giving gifts to people. It gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling, right? Well, these flowers look great. They arrived at my wife's work, perfectly packaged, and they stayed on her desk for over a week. They stayed in bloom and were in great shape. She absolutely loved the colors. The fall colors that they had in there were phenomenal. Really, really impressed with Pro Flowers. So right now, they've got this perfect gift that everyone is excited about. And it's the long-lasting bouquet that I'm talking about with all the favorite fall colors. This is actually the one that I sent to my wife. They have their best sellers, cinnamon cider roses, that are a great option for birthdays, anniversary, or whatever. They also have classics like the autumn blooms or a dozen autumn roses. I went with the autumn roses. They looked absolutely wonderful. Now, you actually can't lose if you order from Pro Flowers, because no matter which bouquet you pick, whatever one you like, you get 20% off any bouquet that's $29 or more. That's right, you get 20% off any bouquet of $29 or more. You can't go wrong. They're guaranteed to stay fresh for at least 7 days or your money back, and you get to pick the exact delivery date. They give you more bloom for your buck, big, beautiful flowers, more stems for your money, and long-lasting freshness. All you got to do is head over to proflowers.com, get your 20% off of any bouquet $29 or more by using the code LAKERS at checkout. That's our special code that lets them know that you came from us. Go use the code LAKERS at checkout, proflowers.com. Very, very nice stuff. I've used them myself. Really, really like the quality that they provide. So again, LAKERS at checkout, proflowers.com. All right, Hannah. Let's dig into some awards here. Let's see here. First on my list, let's start out with Best New Addition. I have a feeling that we're going to have the same guy on.
Yeah.
Best New Addition. Hannah, why don't you kick us off? Who do you have for Best New Addition?
This one was very easy. For me, the Lakers, the best new addition is obviously Kyle Kuzma. He's averaging almost 17 points, 6 rebounds, and he's the Lakers' leading scorer so far. I know at the beginning of the season, no one ever thought that was going to be the case. I'm sure if you would have asked me this at the beginning of the season, I would have said, oh, it's definitely going to be Lonzo Ball. But it is 100% Kyle Kuzma. He's also, I don't want to give anything away, but whatever. He's also my MVP, obviously. He's just been the best thing about the Lakers season, in my opinion, so far this season. He's confident. He's aggressive. He doesn't look like a rookie at all. He looks like a seasoned vet. He's able to contribute defensively, obviously offensively. He's the Lakers' best scorer. And he has the opportunity to be averaging 20 points a game. I'm a little nervous, though, now that Nance is back, that he's not going to be getting as much playing time. I know we saw that in the game, the Clippers. I think he only played about 20 minutes, which in my opinion was very frustrating because I think Kyle Kuzma needs to be playing as many minutes as possible. He's the best player on the Lakers as of now. So without a doubt, best new addition is Kyle Kuzma.
I agree. Best new addition. I also picked Kyle Kuzma. I think that's the standout guy at this point, which is surprising given that we didn't expect to be saying this during the summer, but here we are. Kyle Kuzma has been phenomenal. He's leading the team in scoring. He's the top scorer. He's given the fan base a lot of hope, a nice shot in the arm. He's super versatile. He competes on both ends. Now, Luke Walton did say the reason why he didn't play him quite as much against the Clippers is because he saw his defense start to wane a little bit. He wasn't really performing on the defensive end the way he wanted him to, so he pulled him. I get that. I understand the coach wanting to send a message and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, ultimately Kyle Kuzma is going to need to play a lot of minutes because, he does provide that scoring threat for the Lakers. And I think ultimately that lineup that we were talking about, whether you want to call that a death lineup like the Warriors do or whatever, that 5-man grouping, I think ultimately Kyle Kuzma is going to have to slide in there somewhere with Randall, KCP, Ingram, Jordan Clarkson, and Lonzo Ball. So one of those guys I think is going to have to hop out, and Kyle Kuzma could hop in there because I agree he is definitely the best new addition of the season. And of course, we're only a quarter of the way through, so things can certainly change. But right now, Kyle Kuzma is looking like full steam ahead, best new addition to the team. Okay, biggest surprise. What has been the thing that has surprised you the most about the Lakers this season? So the biggest surprise award, Hannah, who do you have? Or what do you have, I guess?
This is actually another pretty easy one for me as well. I had the defense. Their defense has been ranking in the top 10 and the top 10 for most of the season, and even top 5 at times, which this was something, I mean, as we've all known in the past Lakers seasons, we've just been dead last in defense. So to see them be able to really, I know even in the beginning over summer, we were saying like if they could just be in like mid-20s, we would be happy with that. But to see them be in the top 10 defensively, that's something that I'm really impressed with, and that's been the biggest surprise. And I know obviously bringing in KCP has helped, and Lopez has also, helped a lot as well. But it just goes to show that, Ingram, Randall, Nance, and Clarkson, all the guys are really putting in a collective effort, and they're really trying on defense. So that's been the biggest and best surprise for me so far.
Well, we're 2 for 2 because that was my pick also was the defense. And I mean, I don't think we can even say this enough. This team was dead last in defensive rating last season. And here they are. They've been sitting in the top 10, like you said, all season. At one point, they were even top 3 or a top 4. That was where they topped out at. And they've just been, I mean, their switching on defense has been phenomenal. Actually, I mean, I know you're not all that impressed with Brook Lopez, but he is actually number 1 in the entire league in shots contested. So he certainly has his faults, but he has contested more shots than anyone in the league, and that's despite not playing very many minutes. So he is doing some good things out there, but I agree, he still hasn't been as good as maybe we hoped. But it seems like everybody is contributing. KCP, man, he has got this thing down where, I mean, everybody knows about the LeBron James chase down block, right? Where he runs a guy down that looks like he's got a sure breakaway layup and he blocks the shot at the last minute. Well, KCP has got the chase down steal or the chase down swipe down because he has managed to break up so many fast breaks by just using his speed and getting a hand in there. I think he's done some good things on the defensive end. Brandon Ingram has been a lot better on the defensive end as well. So yeah, the Lakers defense is so impressive. Julius Randle, another one. I'm blown away by how good he has been with his defense overall this season. Yeah, defense definitely has to be at this stage in the game the most impressive or most surprising thing so far for the Lakers. All right, biggest disappointment. Let's flip this around. All right, so far positives. Let's jump to maybe something that maybe isn't so sunny. What's your biggest disappointment on the season at this point? Who's going to be the unfortunate recipient of this award?
Okay, now I know this might create a little bit of controversy, but I'm going to say the biggest disappointment has been Lonzo Ball, mainly just because his shooting has been so terribly. He hasn't been I'm not saying that he's just been horrible all in all. I know obviously we saw him. He has had 2 triple doubles already. His defense has been better than I expected. He's still been getting his assists. His rebounding has been good, but his shot, man, has just been so embarrassing. It's almost cringeworthy. I think he's shooting less than 31% from the field and around 25% from 3. And he's not really aggressive on offense. I know you said earlier that when you were talking to the shooting coach that he was saying, a lot of it just comes down to confidence, but he's got to improve this shot because we don't need him to be, our leading scorer, but we need him to be able to score. And besides tonight, he has just not been able to get it done. So hopefully that's something that he's going to be able to improve on as the season continues.
Understandable. I get that pick. I was torn. I was thinking about saying Lonzo Ball as well because of the shooting, but he's been so good defensively, or so much better, I should say, than we expected him to be defensively, and his rebounding has been so good this season. He's also been very good at limiting his turnovers, so in the end, I decided not to hold his shooting against him and give him the biggest disappointment award. Instead, I looked across the entire team, and I said the biggest disappointment for me has actually been the offense, and specifically the lack of three-point shooting. Now, the Lakers have made up for that this season by attacking the basket. As of the last time I checked, they were number 1 in points in the paint because they were attacking the basket nonstop. But the three-point shot has been so de-emphasized, and I was a bit surprised by that. I mean, we expected this Lakers team to be pretty good offensively. We expected the ball to move around the perimeter. We expected them to find open looks because that's supposed to be the Lonzo effect, right? They're supposed to be moving the ball a lot and finding open shots. And we thought they'd be poor defensively, and the opposite has been true. They really haven't been taking very many threes, and part of that is because they're not very good at making threes. And I thought for sure we were going to see guys like KCP set career highs in three-point percentage, and that hasn't quite happened. Could still happen. We're only a quarter of the way through the season. We also already talked about him, but Brook Lopez, I expected his gravity to be a little bit more. I thought that he was going to be able to stretch the floor a bit more than he has at this point. So right now, my biggest disappointment is the offense in general, and if I want to get more specific, I would say the lack of three-point shooting, because I think that is going to be something that they're going to need, because they're going to need to add a little bit of variety to their offense. Teams are going to start really packing the paint against them, and we're already starting to see that. All right, this is a tough one. I feel like it could go in a number of different directions here, depending on how you take it. So, Hannah, the sixth man award for the first quarter of the season, who'd you go with and why?
Yeah, this one was close because it could go to a number of people. It could go to Julius Randle. It could go to Kuzma. I picked Jordan Clarkson, and I picked Jordan Clarkson over Kuzma only because I'm not really counting Kuzma because he started as many games as he's come off the bench. But I'm giving it to Jordan Clarkson. He's the Lakers' second leading scorer, and he's, playing way less minutes than he's used to. And I like Jordan Clarkson a lot because he really adapts to any role that he's given. Coming into the season, he wasn't supposed to be the Lakers point guard, although I assumed that he was going to end up playing that role. But, he's really adapted that point guard role. I think he's doing really well on that. He's looking to facilitate the ball more. He's trying harder on defense. Like I said, he's also the Lakers' second leading scorer. And per 36 minutes, he's the leading scorer by like a landslide. So his overall shooting and three-point percentages are up dramatically. I just think that Jordan Clarkson has really improved a lot, and I think he's matured a lot this season. And so I think Jordan Clarkson is our sixth man of the year.
He is actually leading the team in PER, which is the player efficiency rating. He was one of my guys that I was right there. I didn't pick Jordan Clarkson for sixth man, but he is certainly deserving. He has been so impressive this season. In fact, tonight against the Warriors, he had 8 assists, 6 boards, 21 points. I mean, his scoring efficiency has been so much better than anything we've seen before. I'm starting to notice Lakers fans always consider Jordan Clarkson to be a decent contract, the $12 million that he's making per season, or $12.5 million. And I'm starting to see other fan bases, though, start to admit that Jordan Clarkson is on a decent deal, whereas last season we were hearing, oh, he's a bad contract, they're going to have to pay somebody to take him and all this. I don't think that's the case anymore. Jordan Clarkson is playing so well that I think he's a fine contender for the six-man award, although he was not my pick. The guy that I went with was Julius Randle. Mm-hmm. I had to go with him for sixth man, and Jordan Clarkson may have had a bigger impact overall in terms of analytics and all that, but Julius Randle transitioned to the center position. He was starting last season, and now he's coming off the bench in a different role, and he came into shape. He is just absolutely shredded, and he's playing the best basketball of his career. I've been so impressed with his work defensively. That was always one of his big issues. His Achilles heel, if you will, was his defense. And yet now, this season, he is a plus defender almost everywhere on the floor, which is amazing. I mean, it's been a real transformation for him. He's also become a much more efficient scorer. So I picked Julius Randle for my sixth man. And the last thing, they really were neck and neck, Clarkson and Randle. They were right there. And the last thing that made me go Randle for this award was I thought, if I had to replace this guy, if I had to go out into the league and find somebody to do what the other one is doing, I feel like I could find a scorer off the bench to kind of do the things Clarkson does. I don't know if I can find somebody to replace what Randle's doing because he's so versatile and he's switching so well onto bigs and everything and onto guards on the perimeter when need be. So that was why I went Randle. But, man, both those guys are playing phenomenal basketball. All right, next category. The best win of the season at this point. There are a few of them, maybe more than we expected. What do you think was the best win for the Lakers so far this season?
Well, if they would have won tonight, it could have easily been tonight. But
oh, it definitely would have been.
But they didn't. So I picked for best win. It was the second game of the season. It was their win against Phoenix, 132-130. And I'm saying that win just because their opening night, like we all know, was a complete dud. There was so much hype around it, and they just came out and completely laid an egg. I remember we were watching the game together, and we were just like, oh my God, like what are they going to do? They look horrible. We were, freaking out a little bit, but they came back and rebounded with a very exciting close win against the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, Phoenix is not the best team, but it was still a very exciting win. They have, Devin Booker, who always gives us problems. And I'm also saying it was the best win because, in my opinion, it was Lonzo Ball's best game. I know he's had the triple doubles, but on this night, he had played horribly in the first night, but he bounced back and he had 29 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists, so almost a triple-double. And, after all the kind of just the panic around the first game when he played horribly, for him to come back out and really, prove to everyone, like, hey, I have a lot of potential and really have a great game like that, I think that was a very exciting moment for me.
Agreed. Yeah, I get that. The game against the Suns was pretty nice. They almost blew it at the very end there. I was fortunate enough to go to Phoenix and cover that game. And, man, the team was fired up after that win. There was this nervous energy before the game because they all kind of knew, like, okay, this is our chance. We've got to right that wrong. That our last performance was not good. Even Rob Pelinka, the Lakers GM, was nervous before the game. And they came out and they stole the show. Was not the game that I picked, though.
Mm-hmm.
Was definitely a good one, but I picked the Lakers 127-109 victory over the Denver Nuggets from November 19th. And I picked that one for a few reasons. I went with that game, for one, because Lonzo Ball did get a triple-double in that game. I believe that was his second triple-double. And he played well, so it was great to see. I mean, he was breaking records and all that kind of stuff, getting that second triple-double. Overall, the team played really well, shot 53% from the field, and they beat a team that is expected to be a playoff team, the Denver Nuggets, and had just dropped something like 140 points a couple of games before. So this was a red-hot Nuggets team. Now, the Nuggets were thrown for a loop that game when their coach and their best player, Nikola Jokic, were ejected shortly after the first quarter. So that definitely made a difference. But still, the Lakers won 127-109. I mean, it was a pretty solid win. Oh, the Nuggets were also without Paul Millsap for much of the game because he was hurt. So yeah, there's some other factors at play here. But still, the Lakers beat a very high-quality team. Lonzo got a triple-double. Julius Randle was tremendous, 24 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Maybe his best performance of the season, certainly one of them. And even Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had a very, very solid game in that one. Brook Lopez was excellent in that game, possibly his best game of the season. So I went with that one as my best game of the season for the Lakers so far. But again, hopefully when we do this next time halfway through, we'll pick different games because they'll have a few more wins in there. So let's move on to the next one. We're almost done here, almost out of awards. We only have 3 left. And this one is maybe a little bit bittersweet. Most likely to be traded. This was a tough one for me, Hannah. I'm not going to lie. This was a really difficult one. I know the Lakers are going to be active at the trade deadline, and probably somebody's going to get moved. But what was your take? Who do you think is the most likely to get traded at this stage?
I think it's going to be Julius Randle. Not really because he deserves to be traded. Like we've been saying, he's been playing really well. I really like Julius Randle, but I just think because he's going to be a restricted free agent this summer and someone's going to offer him, a big contract, and I don't think the Lakers are going to want to match that. As they've been saying, they want to go out and get 2 big free agents get 2 big, superstars this summer to play. And I just don't think, with the Lakers not offering Randle the extension this past summer, I just think they're going to look to trade him, and also I don't know. I think a lot of people think that Clarkson could be traded as well, but I just think right now, just because we're so kind of, jam-packed at the power forward position, I think it's going to be Randle, unfortunately. It's going to be definitely sad to see him go, but I think Randle's the one that's going to be traded.
I was thinking the same thing as far as them being loaded at the power forward position. I ended up going with Larry Nance Jr. as my kind of
wow.
Likely. Yeah, I know. And it's one of those things where I don't really have a whole lot of reason for it. He's been starting. He's playing really well. Magic Johnson called him their secret weapon and everything. It's just kind of this gut feeling, and I could be very wrong here. Larry is an incredible guy and does an amazing job for the team, and he does some wonderful things out there. But I went with him just because they are so jam-packed, and I think that he's a guy teams are going to want.
That is
You know
true.
what I mean? Like
yeah.
with Randall, they know that if you trade for him, he's going to have to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of see a situation where the Lakers are working on deals to move off of some money, and Larry Nance could be the price for doing that, because I don't see them giving up Kuzma or Ingram or Lonzo Ball in order to move some money off the books. So I think the next guy teams are going to ask for is probably Nance, and I could see that happening. We'll see if that comes true. I think that if we're really to look at the most likely, it's probably Randall. I think you're right there, but just sort of a weird premonition here that I've got with Nance. But again, we'll have to wait until the trade deadline to see. All right. Best dunk of the season, and I cheated a little bit here on this one, so I'm curious what you went with here, Hannah.
Did you say the one from tonight?
No, I did not say that.
Okay.
I almost did. I mentioned on Twitter that I could have used this one, but it's not the one that I went with.
That was a nice.
Your pick?
No, that wasn't mine. I had to do a little bit of digging for that, because the Lakers haven't had too many like super exciting dunks yet this season. But one that really stood out to me was the feed from Corey Brewer to Lonzo Ball against the Kings, and Ball slammed it down. Lonzo isn't thought of to be as like this high flyer. We're not really thinking of Lonzo as the guy who's going to be, our, big dunker of the season, but he showed that he has some hops in him. So it was a pretty exciting dunk for me. So I put that as the best dunk.
You know what? I went with Lonzo as well.
Really?
Even though when I first wrote this question, I thought, okay, it's going to be a Brandon Ingram dunk, because he's had so many dunks where he drives down the middle of the paint and then he throws down on somebody. I almost went with Brandon Ingram over Josh Jackson in that Phoenix game that we were talking about.
That was a good one too.
Yeah, I almost went with that one, but I said I cheated a little bit on this one because I kind of did. I picked one from October 2nd. So it's a preseason game.
Okay.
Lakers versus Denver. Fast break gets initiated, and it's Lonzo with the ball in the middle of the floor, hits Jordan Clarkson on the sideline, who then throws a lob to Lonzo, who slams it home. Lonzo got hurt later on in the game, knocked him out for the rest of preseason, but it was that moment, that fast break, that I said, that's it. That's what Magic Johnson, and they showed Magic Johnson on the sideline. He was going crazy. I said, that's what Magic Johnson has been wanting, that Showtime style where the team is getting out, running, getting the crowd on their feet. That's it right there with Lonzo in the middle of it. So that was the dunk I went with, because I said that's kind of what encapsulates what the Lakers are going for right now. But as you said, there's not all that many dunks for the Lakers at this point. So we'll see. Who knows? At some point, Larry Nance Jr. is going to dunk all over somebody.
I know. I'm shocked. I'm shocked there hasn't been like a huge Larry dunk so far. We're well overdue for that one.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time before that happens this season.
Saturday it'll happen.
All right, let's book it. So let's wrap it up here. Final award. Here's the big one. I mean, I guess you kind of already said yours, but let's go for the MVP of the first quarter. Hannah, tell me what you've got.
Yes, this one was without a doubt my MVP of the Lakers so far has been Kyle Kuzma. Where we would even be without Kyle Kuzma at this point is actually kind of scary, in my opinion. He's the Lakers' leading scorer. I honestly don't even think we would have won like 3 games without him. He's easily, like I said previously, a guy who could be scoring, 20 points or averaging 20 points a game. He's been unbelievable just on both ends of the court, and he's probably the Lakers' just best, and really, besides Clarkson, their only scorer on the team. And when it comes down to it, I know defense is extremely important, obviously, but you're only going to win games if you can outscore the other opponent. And the Lakers really need Kyle Kuzma's scoring, and he's been able to be very consistent on a nightly basis. And he's just been, I honestly can't say enough about Kyle Kuzma. Everyone already knows how I feel about him. I really, really like him, and I think he has a very, very bright future as a Laker and in the NBA.
That's a great pick. I love Kuz. I love what we've seen from him. He's been just so impressive. I mean, he doesn't look like a rookie out there on the floor with the moves that he makes and the way he finishes at the rim. I mean, he is just all kinds of impressive. He's the steal of the draft. I mean, the 27th overall pick. He is unquestionably the steal of the draft at this point. I mean, if they were to do a redraft, he's got to be top 5, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean,
you
I think even Doc Rivers said the other night that he thinks he, should be the rookie of the year. I mean, obviously, I think it's going to go to Ben Simmons, but Kyle Kuzma is definitely, making people talk about it at least.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, Jason Tatum has been incredible. So he's in the top 5 at least. He could even go number 1.
Oh yeah.
Right? I think Lonzo, just based on potential, is still in that top 5.
Yeah, for sure.
Markelle Fultz is suddenly shooting left-handed.
Yeah.
Right? Because his shoulder's all messed up. So I don't even know if he goes top 5. Maybe Kuzma would slide in there. De'Aaron Fox might get bumped out, even though I like what he's done. Josh Jackson almost certainly would get bumped out. So yeah, I mean, I would say if we were to redo this draft, I'd say Kuzma goes 4.
I guess I could see him even going higher, honestly. I mean, he's leading the Lakers in scoring. I don't know what there is to say. And he's like we said, he doesn't seem like a rookie out there. He's just playing with so much confidence. I feel like he's improving every night. I mean, we even saw, I think it was last week or the week before, he had his career high, and then you're like, oh my gosh, Kuzma has his career high. And then what does he do? He comes back the next game and gets a new career high. And I can't say enough about Kyle Kuzma. So I would even put him in the top 3, honestly.
Okay, so you would go what? Who would be your top 3 then? Tatum and Kuzma, and then who rounds that out?
Oh gosh, Tatum, Kuzma, maybe Josh Jackson. I don't know. It'd have to depend. I'm not sure, but I think Kuzma definitely top 3.
Okay, so Kuzma top 3. I would do Lonzo in there, but I'm a little bit biased. But yeah, top 3. I can see it. I mean, he's been that good, I guess is the point. Was not my pick though.
Ooh, who'd you pick?
For my MVP, and this is recency bias coming in to the nth degree, because I had someone else, and then I switched it last minute to the man of the night, Brandon Ingram. And Brandon Ingram, you know what? I went with him because I feel like he's the guy that he's going to now because of what he did against the Golden State Warriors. But up till this point, I don't think he's got enough praise. I don't think people have recognized how good he has been. And no, technically in terms of impact, he hasn't had as big of an impact as Kyle Kuzma, okay, as Jordan Clarkson, as some of these other guys who have had a bigger impact than Ingram has. But I think Ingram showing these flashes that he has been incredibly important for this Lakers team. Because he was the second overall pick last season, there's so much pressure riding on him. He's now being looked to as a leader on the team. He's the vocal leader, which is weird because he basically didn't talk last season. And when you add all that up, you look at the leadership that he's bringing, you look at the improvements, my goodness, he is finishing in the paint. His length is allowing him to finish over guys. He's got this weird thing where he drives and he jumps and he hangs in the air forever. And by the time the defender's coming back down, his long arms are still way up there and he just finishes over guys. And just the improvements that we've seen from last season, his role on the team, what he means to the team, his development being so important to the team. I went with Ingram. It's a close call. There's a number of different guys that we could go with, and that's a testament to how well Luke Walton has done at developing these players. But yeah, I went Brandon Ingram for my MVP right now. Who knows? I may have somebody different when we do this, the halfway point, but for now I gave it to him. Hannah, any final thoughts before we wrap things up here?
I can't believe we're already like 1/4 way of the season. I mean, it's insane. I feel like it just like flew by. It feels like just yesterday we were still watching the Summer League, and now we're already a quarter of the way done. So hopefully we can get through December, and hopefully we can keep competing. If they can just play as hard as they did tonight, we may be able to come away with a few wins.
Oh yeah, hey, if they stay at this level, like I said, if they stay at this level of intensity that they showed against the Golden State Warriors, if they can stay this good on defense, right now I just checked it, and they are actually 8th or tied really for 7th in defensive rating right now.
I'll take it.
If they stay in the top 10 all season.
Oh, for sure.
Gosh, I mean, what a huge win. Like I headed into this season saying, hey, if they can finish 25, 24, 20, like 23 would be amazing in defensive rating, considering they were dead last by a mile last year. But yeah, if they can stay in the top 10, that's a huge win. And if they can get the offense going with this kind of new rotation that they've got, or the new lineups that Luke was trying tonight, man, they are going to beat some teams that are looking at the schedule and looking at Lakers and saying, oh, that's a win. They're going to catch teams that are expecting to win by surprise, and they're going to end up turning the tables on them. So, yeah, I agree. I think that this is a fun team to watch. Even though they're growing, they're building, and all that kind of stuff, this has been a lot of fun. It's an enjoyable process. And even though I mean, you probably see this, but Lakers Twitter goes crazy every time they lose. It's like the sky is falling.
Oh, yeah.
You guys, good times lay ahead, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, people are very dramatic on Twitter sometimes. Myself especially. I think I tweeted like 5 times that I had like 5 heart attacks tonight. So even I know I'm guilty of doing that as well. But I think the Lakers are on the right path. And they're, like you said, they're exciting to watch this season. They're really trying. They're trying on defense, which is all we can ask. They are vastly improved on defense. And hopefully they could just do something about their offense. And once those shots start falling in, man, they're gonna be turning some heads.
All right. Well, Hannah, thanks so much for staying up late and coming on here and recording with me, especially after such a thrilling game that we just watched.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
So find Hannah Kulik on Twitter at Hannah_Kulik. And, of course, you can find her work on LakersNation.com. That's going to about wrap things up for us today. Don't forget, head over to proflowers.com and use that promo code Lakers for 20% off any bouquet of $29 or more. Totally worth it, guys. I sent a bouquet of flowers to my wife already, and she absolutely loved them. Definitely recommend you going and checking that out. Don't forget, head over to iTunes. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to our show. Leave your questions in the review section, and we will address them on air. Next time, I'll be back on Monday. We're going to be doing a combined show with the Locked On Lakers guys, and we're going to be talking about Lakers trades. So we're going to be digging into some hypothetical trades and talking about some of these big stars the Lakers could be chasing after. A lot to go over then, so be on the lookout for that one on Monday. That's it for today. My name is Trevor Lane, and this has been the Lakers Nation Podcast.